Rob Fazio is an author, also a managing partner at On Point Advertising, specializing in global leadership and organizational success. And with me is Rob Fazio, author of this book, BullyProof. And I really wanted to talk to you, Rob, about, first of all, why did you write this? Like, what was the purpose behind it?
Whenever you write a book, everyone tells you to kind of search deep into your soul and figure out why you want to write this book. For me, I grew up just outside New York City, and my dad was a senior executive, and he worked for a dysfunctional, dominant CFO. And I could see on his face daily how it impacted him and his lives. He wouldn't complain about it, but I could see the way he was treated impacted how he did his work and his health.
So you really wanted to draw attention to this and maybe offer some solutions for people that are in that position, either way, companies as well.
I became obsessed with power and influence, and I realized it doesn't have to be that way. And I wanted to help the everyday person learn skills and strategies to not have that experience of being bullied and be able to push back in an appropriate manner.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said it doesn't have to be that way. Because like sometimes we feel like, well, like the person who comes in and like shakes up the room is the one that, gets the most done and is successful. But you can be successful and not be a jerk. Basically.
Oh, exactly. The whole thing around Steve Jobs and he had to be a jerk to be a good leader, not true at all. And the damage that's done by leaders that are dysfunctional is incredible from a financial, physical, and psychological perspective. And it's really not that difficult to start the process of being bully proof. It really starts from pulling yourself out of this reactive victim state.
Yeah. And then the subtitle mentions alphas. What is an alpha?
So an alpha is someone who takes charge in a situation, whether or not they're the subject matter expert or the identified leader.
Okay. And then also, so talk to me about how big of a problem is bullying in the workplace?
It's a huge problem. So all bullies are alphas, but not all alphas are bullies. There's a lot of good alphas that are out there. And about 50% of Americans in the workplace, which equates to about 79 million people, are impacted by bullying, where they're on the receiving end, they're witnessing it, and that affects this cycle of dysfunction.
Mm-hmm. And what should someone do if they feel like they are being bullied at work?
If someone feels like they're being bullied at work, they have to first take some ownership and first look at themselves and say, am I contributing to this in any way? And one way you can be contributing to it is if you completely avoid the situation or if you go into a more attack approach. And what we try to teach people is to use what we call subtle strength, which is intentional influence. And don't let your triggers predict how you communicate. Be very intentional about how you are. And then over time, you may need to escalate it, build alliances. You never want to go it alone.
Okay. And what if I'm a bully? I mean, do bullies always realize like that they're bullies?
Funniest thing about this book thus far is a lot of my previous clients are surgeons, bankers, hedge funds people, and they'll reach out and like, oh, I need this book for one of my colleagues. I'm like, did you not hear the conversation we've been having for the last year? So oftentimes people who bully aren't aware of it. And so that's why we try to make them aware of bullying behaviors. We actually have to be empathetic to people who bully if we're ever going to change that cycle. And I do have some free quizzes on getbullyproof.com where people can determine whether or not they engage in bullying behavior.
And what about companies? How should they handle this type of situation?
The biggest thing is having a zero tolerance. When bullying behaviors come up, they need to be dealt with. They may need to support or coach the person that's doing it. But if it doesn't change, they need to invite them to a different career.
Interesting. Well, Rob, thank you so much. BullyProof is the name of the book. Good for anybody in the corporate workforce to read and just be knowledgeable about some of these dynamics that we have in the office, especially as we're all going back to the office now.
Thank you. Thanks for furthering the conversation, Jane. I appreciate it.